Today we have Assemblywoman MaryJane Shimsky. And aside from being a longtime county legislator, MaryJane in her current role represents the town of Greenburgh, the town of Mount Pleasant, and all of the relevant villages within those. Greenburgh has 6 villages. Mount Pleasant's got 2.5 villages. If there's other parts of her turf, she can outline it to you when she joins you here. But we're very happy to have her here back in the county office building, which she knows very well, to give us an update on state matters. Our Assemblywoman, MaryJane Shimsky. MaryJane, thank you for coming. The microphone is yours. Thanks.
Thank you very much, George, and good afternoon, everyone. What I wanted to talk about today was cooperation between state and local governments. What seemed to be the most routine of details, all the way up to major undertakings, often require the cooperation of multi-levels of government, the state government with, whether it's our county government, our municipal governments, to make sure that good things happen for the people we all represent. I thought it fitting that the county executive talked about the current issues taking place in Washington. One thing I found very interesting was I read somewhere that members of Congress continue to get paid no matter how long a budget impasse takes place. After a rather long one in Albany about 12 to 15 years ago, there was legislation passed that required that legislators do not get paid on the state level if there is an impasse between the legislature and the governor. They don't get paid until after the budget is agreed on. I think that may be a great thing for some members of our congressional delegation to look into. But going back to state and local cooperation, which seems to work an awful lot better these days. I've seen a great deal of it in my first year at the Assembly. As I said, sometimes there are matters that seem technical or minor that are very important to the continued good operation of our local governments. And those things often require state authorization to do. So we, the state government, have to be in negotiations, in discussions with our local governments to see what they need, and then make sure they get the required authorizations. For example, this year we worked with Westchester County on several home rule bills. That's what those bills are called, where local governments ask for cooperation. One, red light camera authorization to make our roads safer. One, permitting the county to increase their gun permit fees, which had not been increased in many a year. This will allow the county to pay for a system that will ensure that there is a robust oversight on who is being allowed to carry guns, which we all know is essential to public safety. We also agreed to extend the Westchester sales tax, which of course is essential to keep our property taxes down, and the Westchester Guardian ad litem bill, which sounds very technical, but essentially what it will do is it will enable the county to work with landlord-tenant cases much more effectively. We also did local bills. For example, extended the hotel tax for the town of Mount Pleasant. Also important to keep sales taxes under control. We have several others that we're working on with all of our local governments. Red light cameras with the town of Greenburgh is a possibility, as are many other things. One of the other things that we end up doing together is funding our infrastructure. Our infrastructure is needed for us to carry on our lives, whether it's roads, bridges, wastewater treatment plants, mass transit, internet, and water providing, and so on. Some of those pieces of infrastructure are owned by federal, some state, some local governments. And maintaining and updating our infrastructure has grown tremendously in price, in part because of inflation, in part because these pieces of infrastructure are getting much more wear and tear than was originally anticipated. Some of it is the effects of climate change already. But we have to work together with our local governments to make sure that they get the resources they need to fix their infrastructure. As one quick example, on August 31st, Speaker Hasty visited 3 communities in the 92nd Assembly District. 2 of them, the village of Tarrytown and the village of Dobbs Ferry, had bridges which lead to the train stations, to the waterfront. In the case of Tarrytown, they lead to numerous housing developments. Both of these bridges are in serious need of repair. So when Speaker Hasty saw the situation and discussed with me and with the local officials, we agreed as a state government to help fund the repairs for our local government's part of these critical infrastructure installations. We're going to be announcing over the course of the next several months additional funding for municipalities, school districts, and not-for-profits. We also have worked this year on increasing the money for local road repairs. With the help of my colleagues, I circulated a sign-on letter to urge the Speaker to increase money for local road repairs. We got an extra $100 million in the state budget this year. That number is going to have to keep growing, and I promise to continue working on that. These are just a few of the hundreds of examples as to how the state government has to work together with our local governments to make sure that the people we represent have everything they need to succeed in life and have long, secure, and happy lives. And I am proud and honored to work with my municipal officials and with my county executive on making sure that so many of these things can get done, which improves the life of everyone. So thank you very much, and thank you for the time, George.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Pleasure to have you with us. MaryJane Shimsky, State Assemblywoman, representing some of the Hudson River villages and the towns in that side of the county.